This is a test of the Boundary Park alert system. Hello and welcome to the Boundary Park alert system with me, Sleepy Matt Dean, and this morning I'm joined by not Andy Halliwell but Sexy Dave Bradley. Hello, Sexy Dave.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Sexy as ever.
Apart from that.
Yeah, pretty good. Positive, happy, amorous.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Where's Andy? I'll tell you where Andy is. He's at a farmhouse in Mallorca.
No, he's not. He's on his big private yacht. He's trying to hide this Tory yacht that he's got. He's with his elite friends, drinking champagne, laughing at the poor people. That's what he's doing.
Well, allegedly.
Allegedly.
He did send us a photograph yesterday of where he is, and it was a pool surrounded by palm trees, and it looked very, very nice. I sent him a picture back of the rain bouncing off the concourse behind the Rochdale Road end, so I'm sure that made him feel very, very jealous.
Yeah.
So I know he's listening, so not right now, when it goes out on Monday. So I hope you're having a happy holiday, Andrew. And don't worry, everything here is fine without you for a week or two, because otherwise we'll go completely off the rails, won't we, Dave, if Andy's not around to keep the ship steady.
Yeah, keep the yacht steady. Yeah, definitely. We need Andy to be that the rock of the podcast to keep us grounded.
I think combining yachts and rocks is a bad idea.
Okay.
Anyway, that's just a little bit of nautical advice there. This podcast has the ability to operate on multi-levels. Well, primarily, Dave, you've got a mug with Living Legend written on it. Presumably,
no, it's Living Legend.
Presumably, you stole that off somebody else, did you?
No. Oh, it's yours. I'll have to give it you back.
All right, okay. Yeah, no, that's okay. Keep it for a while. We've got a fan guest who's been on the show before. Therefore needs no introduction. Plus, Andy's not here. We haven't got one prepared. So we'll just say hello, Joe P. or Joe Payne. How are you doing?
Hello, how are you doing?
Good, thanks. Yeah, fans may recognise your voice. I think didn't you do rather well on Latics Mind as well?
I've been all right, yeah, but I finished second to the master.
That's basically first place.
It is, yeah. We're all playing for second.
It seems like, I don't know if Andy's done this on purpose, but are we going back in the order of that everybody finished last season? We started with Paul last week, and now you this week.
Yeah,
I don't know if it seems like we're going in reverse.
Paddy next week, is it?
Could be. I don't know.
I think he's third, and then whoever finished last at the end, I guess.
Yeah, maybe
Ben from the phone in, maybe.
Possibly. I have no idea. I've slept since then. There's only at the end of the day, there's only one winner, and that's who everyone remembers. Even you, Joe, finished second. Everyone's forgotten already. It's just that's elite sport for you at the end of the day.
It is, yeah. Can't compete with the best.
Exactly. So let's get on to the football. This is the second match of the season. We played Aldershot at home yesterday at a rain-drenched and sun-kissed at times Boundary Park. Fanzoni!
What's your name, pal?
Peter Ward.
First game of the season, 4-0 defeat. What are your thoughts?
Obviously, yeah, very disappointed. Hoping for a lot better than that. Let's hope they can turn it around today. Do
you think the fans have been a bit knee-jerk with the reaction from the game, calling for Unsworth's head, or not?
Yeah, well, I think it goes back to last season, doesn't it, as well? Because you obviously got the Unsworth inside, haven't you? You got the Unsworth outside. So I suppose it just depends.
Come on, Oldham!
We need to give. I've always said I would give them the first 10 games and see where we're at after 10 games. But I would want to be in the top 6 in the first 10 games.
So the next 2 home games, Aldershot and Halifax, are quite vital for us, aren't they? So what do you think? What do you want from them games? 4 points, 6 points?
Well, you want 6, don't you? You'd hope for 4 because going into the Chesterfield game, I think they need a bit of confidence, don't they?
What score today, mate?
I'll go 3-1 Oldham.
What's your name, pal?
Darius.
Darius what? You're on the world famous Boundary Park alert system Fanzoni. What's your last name? Come on.
Fletcher.
Right, so Darius Fletcher. We lost 4-0 against Southend. What do you want from the players today?
A bit of a performance. bit rigid. I actually want to see tactics at work, bit of attacking and going forward.
So tactics then, we played 3-5-2 against Southend. What do you think we should be seeing today at home?
Ideally a 4-4-2, maybe a 4-3-3.
Who's your three up top?
Three up top, I'd say Willoughby, Norwood and Reid.
Why is that then?
Green's not here, and I actually want someone who can actually put a bit of an effort in. Fondop coming on at 70th minute, make an impact.
Yeah, he's a bit more of an impact player, isn't he? So, right, we've got Halifax on Tuesday.
Yeah.
How many points do you want from them 2 games?
I'd love 6, but I'll accept 4.
2 not do?
No. We need a winner out of either of the 2.
So, devil's advocate, we get beat today and we draw against Halifax. What are we going to be saying?
Not good enough at all. We need to figure out what's going wrong, and if it's not performance based, let's. Is it manager? Is it effort?
Who's it down to performance though? Who do you put it on? Do you put it on the manager or the players? Who would you say who takes most accountability?
You can argue a bit of both, but accountability at the end of the day, isn't it? If players aren't putting a shift in, then manager needs to change it up. If the manager isn't changing it, then it does fall to him at the end of the day.
So if we got 1 point after 3 games going into Chesterfield, do you think Hunter's the right man to go forward with this?
That's a hard one, but ideally not. But it depends on the performance you're actually seeing from the players. If it was stupid decisions like put a line in the sand for the first one, these 2, if we're not getting a performance out of the lads, then definitely needs to go.
What's your name, pal?
Dougie.
All right, Dougie. So 4-0 against Southend. What sort of reaction do you want today from the team?
Want 4-0. Going our way this time.
So in terms of the team set up last week, it was a 3-5-2. What would you like to see in terms of a formation?
4-4-2.
4-4-2?
Yeah.
So Norwood
A lot of people are asking for that, aren't they?
Yeah. Norwood needs some service up front though, doesn't he? Because he's certainly got the goals in, hasn't he? So who would you like to see up front with him this week?
Fondop.
Why?
Not all worked very good, was he, last week? So
Do you think he gets a bit too much stick off the fans though? I think he's been made a bit of a target, hasn't he?
I don't know. If he put a bit more effort in, he probably wouldn't get it, would he? You watch him, and it's a bit depressing sometimes, isn't it? But to watch him.
Well, watching him for the last 30 years has been a bit depressing to say the very least, hasn't it? Come on then, next 2 games, we've got Aldershot, so you think we're going to win today? What do you think about Halifax?
Win today, should beat Halifax.
What score?
I'm going 3-0 today, 1-0 Halifax.
Hi, I'm just here with an Aldershot fan. What's your name, pal?
Craig.
What are your hopes for today?
Well, after last week, who knows? We had a great result. You had a poor one, but you never know with Aldershot. We're a different team this year than we've been over the last few years. No more soft underbelly. We've got some fighters in there, and so hopefully we'll have a decent positive result. But who knows?
What do you think of Boundary Park? Quite an improvement on last season.
Well, I haven't been inside it yet,
Right, okay.
I did come to the game last season on the Friday night. But it's the new stand since then.
New pitch.
Yeah. Oh right, no, haven't seen it yet, so haven't been in yet.
All right, what's the score for today then?
2-2.
2-2.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you're wrong, and I hope we get a win. But best of luck, mate, and thanks very much. Cheers.
Cheers.
What's your name, pal?
I'm Jim.
Jim, what? Come on, you're world famous now. You're on the Boundary Park Alert System fan zone.
Jim McLean.
Right, Jim. 4-0 against Southend. Poor result. We need a vast improvement today, don't we?
Yep, 2-0 win, no doubt.
No doubt.
No doubt.
What do you think of
over the cracks?
Papering over the cracks? Fair enough. So, do you think that's what it is at the moment, papering over the cracks? What do you think about the current situation, management, team?
I'm not sure on Unsworth, to be honest. I'm all for giving people time, but I don't like the way he sets up, and I don't like his in-game management.
Come on, bit more.
It's too negative. We're one of the biggest teams in this division. We've got a good budget now. We've got to go for it a bit more.
So, what would you like from us to see in terms of tactics? And what do you want? What formation would you prefer?
More players making third man runs. Get beyond the front man. You got Norwood, who's one of the best players in this division probably now. Let's give him a chance to get some goals.
So, what would you say? 4-4-2, 4-3-3? What would you want? Because the 3-5-2 clearly doesn't work, does it?
No, not at the moment. No, but 4-3-3. It's however you work up when you're on the ball, without the ball, adapting to situations.
So a 2-0 Norwood double, do you think?
Yeah, let's have it. Norwood.
Grazie mille, fanzone. Joe, were you able to make the game?
I did. I was there. Yeah, it was best game under Antwerp. I think we can all possibly agree. I don't think we've seen better. 5-1, champagne football at times. Complete contrast to last week. 1 35-yarder, bullet into the top corner. One was like Ben Tollitt goal was like Brazil from the 70s. It's just a completely different team. So, I'm not a massive Unsworth fan, but I can't find much to complain about after yesterday.
I mean, yeah, it's some great goals, wasn't there? And the Dickinson goal was right down our throat where we were, wasn't it, Dave? Like when he lashed that, it just came straight at us, didn't it? And you could see the power that he hit it with. The Tollett one, was it Dickinson who played the ball through to Tollett?
No, it's Nuttall. Nuttall set up. Nuttall set up. He could have shot himself, but he drew the two defenders in, and then just slid it to Tollett, and he finished.
Tollett let it run across his body, didn't he, and then hit it first time. Really.
I seen it was it outside of the foot job? I think from Tollett straight into the bottom corner.
I think he just put his laces through it.
Yeah, I think he did.
His the crossbody shot is really hard. It's a really hard technique. Yeah. But he has it in his locker, Tollett, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I
mean, we last week. I mean, I said I was going to take it game by game because, like, literally, is the only way we can do it on the podcast. Is comment on each game as it comes. And last week we saw absolutely nothing. It was really, really bizarre how much of a turnaround we saw because we needed this performance. Unsworth needed the performance. Everybody, the fans, everybody, the board, we all needed something like that today. Yesterday to feel good about, and they delivered it. And I'm really, really happy for everybody. I'm happy for the manager, the players, the board, the fans, everybody. I'm really, really happy that we got that performance yesterday. On the way out of the ground, as I'm driving out the car park, I saw a bunch of some of the Unsworth out lads, and so I shouted, "Sack him!" out the window, obviously, just to get a bit of a response. And a bit of banter ensued, and one of them shouted back, "It's only one game," and that's fair enough. It is only one game. I totally agree. Like in the same way that I feel that we don't get carried away from last week, we don't get carried away from this week either because we won 5-1, scored some great goals, played some really good football on an absolutely magnificent surface, by the way, amazing. And we don't get carried away because now that's been and gone, and it's all about Halifax on Tuesday. So what were the main sort of takeaways for you, Joe, in terms of performance, formation, and all that kind of stuff, and in terms of the differences as well from last week?
Well, this is the first game under Unsworth where we've actually gone for it, where we've actually, gone for the off. We attacked him. They had a few chances, we had chances, but we really went for it. There were no passengers in the team at all. Norwood is just showing the striker that, we're paying the bucks for, apparently. He's always in the right place at the right time. Scored his 2 goals. Dickinson, fantastic. Took his goals really well. He's sort of the midfielder that we need, possibly. I quite like Sharon. I think Sharon's a good player. He's got some unfair stick recently, I think. I think he played well. Right back, put a good shift in. I thought was up and down the wing, sort of, especially in the first half, just straight up, straight down, superb. Everybody was sort of brilliant, basically, and Nuttall deserves a mention for the he's been getting. He, held the ball up well. He was a good supporting partner for Norwood, and it's just completely at odds with anything we've seen before.
Yeah, definitely a shout out for Joe Nuttall, Dave, because he, like you said before, he made 3 goals, 3 assists. If you're a striker, if you're not scoring, the next best thing you could be doing, or if you're playing up top, is assisting, and he looked like that proper foil for a centre forward probably for the first time, really, didn't he?
Yeah, he was bullying their defence. He could have been selfish on 2 occasions when he got in the box for the first goal. He could have shot, but it was a very tight angle. But to just lay it off to Norwood, who got in a great position, who just hit it first time, and the finish, to be fair, although he just opened the side of his foot to hit it into that far corner, was sublime. The second goal for Tollett, again, he could have shot, but he set the goal up because he's playing for the team. You could see it. And then the third, I think it was Norwood's second goal. It was Nuttall again, who just played it through just to Norwood. And again, I can't say for a long time when I saw a striker running through on goal thinking, oh, is he going to score? Is he not going to score? But when Norwood got it, you just knew it was a guaranteed goal because you just took it right round the keeper and just finished it. He didn't flap. He's just a fantastic finisher, isn't he?
Yeah, everybody knew that he was
half a chance. He'll bag it every time.
Yeah, and just some of the little touches and little bits of movement. Some of the his physicality. Some of the I noticed as well that after the goal that they scored or we scored for them. Talking to the players, talking to the keeper. Being a leader and a character on the pitch. Absolute chalk and cheese from last week.
We brought a new lad, he wasn't half bad, he was Norwood. We came from League One, where he was top gun, now he is glum. He made his debut last weekend in sunny Southend. We lost 4-0 and we played like a set of bellends. So can we come good and make good use of our Norwood? Has Big Dave got a plan to bring out the best of our new man? We won't score a goal for a week if we keep things the same. Dave Unsworth's tactics are crap and they drive us insane. Big Dave's job's on the line unless we can find some way to win. We need to play good and get the ball up to Norwood. I'll be playing again next week. Oh, come on, boys. 2 home wins. Shut me up. Shut the Unsworth Mourners up. I want us to win. I do.
We'll listen to Unsworth in a second, Dave, because you spoke to him yesterday after the game. But are we going to say that the formation yesterday was key to the performance as opposed to the formation that we went out with against Southend?
What was the difference? I mean, between I didn't get to Southend, so I didn't really know they set up, but it was the same.
No, it was a 3-5-2 at Southend with wing backs, and I don't know why he endeavours to play it every time. I think he just set up defensively against Southend and just came unstuck very quickly. But 4-4-2, it just suits that team, doesn't it?
What frustrates me even more looking back now on the Southend performance was not just the performance, but the way we set up was the fact that it wasn't working. And we called for this last week, didn't we? We had exactly the same personnel available last week. Once, say at half time when that wasn't working, he could have pulled one of the lads off, dropped to a 4-4-2. But Hudson came on as a sub yesterday, played at right back. So he could have played at right back. Sutton could have played at right back. We could have brought Tollett on and gone with that same formation as we did. There's no point in harping on about it. We didn't. But it seems a bit frustrating when it clicked so well yesterday. Within the first 10 minutes, Kitchen had got 3 crosses into the box, which he didn't manage the whole game against Southend. So some really, really positive signs. I thought Shelton and Sheeran did far better because the whole team were helping them. It was so much different, getting bodies up forward and in the box and yeah, go on, Dave.
It was a team.
Tollett didn't play last week, did he?
No, he didn't. No,
he came in, didn't he? So
he came in because with Sutton being suspended and with Freeman coming in, but he played him on the right side of midfield, which is not like he's not a winger, Tollett, is he? But it worked because he's more likely to press. He's a more offensive minded player. So we had more, and same with Dickinson. He plays higher up the pitch, so it gives Shelton and Sheeran, like, even if they do sit back a bit more, you've still got those extra bodies committing forward. with the fullbacks pushing on as well. So we just had a lot more presence in their half, didn't we, yesterday? And look, an Aldershot weren't a very impressive side at all. They were hopeless up front, weren't they? They had some good chances that they absolutely fluffed the lines on. And I was talking about this yesterday. You're never going to get a perfect 90 minutes. You're never going to, unless you're Man City or Real Madrid occasionally, who put in a occasionally flawless performance. You're always going to have ups and downs in a game. And they came back into it a little bit after they scored and it went to 3-1. But really, I mean, overall, it was as good a performance as you could possibly hope for, and you can only beat the sides that are in front, put in front of you. And last season, we struggled against Aldershot. We struggled against teams like Aldershot. And yesterday, we've shown that hopefully in these kind of games against these kind of teams, that kind of quality that we now have is going to show, and we're going to brush them aside. And we've got back to a 0-goal difference as well after losing 4-0 in the first game. It's very, very difficult to find something to be critical of.
What I'd like to say is that I thought that it was a team performance. Like when Freeman and Kitchen bombed forward, Shelton was covering, and then Sheeran was covering for him all the time. And you could see that they worked so hard in training just to understand the positions of each other. Now, I didn't watch this. I watched the Southend game intermittently, but I listened to it. But they were all over the place. But even when Hobson came on, he was trying to bomb forward and Shelton was dropping back. So you can see that it's been drilled into him this week, with Unsworth probably coming back into training. But it was a really, really assuring display. People saying, the shot were poor, the shot weren't good enough. But we beat them 5-1. That's what that's what you'd expect if a team's not good enough. To me, we weren't good enough last week and we got put away 4-0. All right, they had a red card, Aldershot, but it's usually harder to play against a team with 10 men. They didn't really go for it in the last 20 minutes and we scored 2. So, yeah. And all the goals weren't just like, they weren't tap-ins, they were really well-worked goals. And it showed great creativity from the team.
Am I right in thinking that last season was it 2 up against Altrincham when they went down to 10 men?
Down to 10 men, wasn't it?
And they came back to 2-2. So that's that's the difference. And in the back of your mind, being an Oldham fan, obviously we're 3 up, we're cruising. They score, and then they start to look like they're imposing themselves a little bit more on the game. And there's always that thing at the back of your mind because we're so used to us doing what we did last season against Gateshead, what we did last season against Altrincham. So there's always there's always those jitters and those nerves. But then
we need to get away from that.
I know, yeah. But it is natural, I have to think, after so many years of us doing that kind of thing. But then what did we do yesterday? Did Norwood get the 4th?
Yeah.
Gets one chance, clear away, game over. And like you said, Dave, that it was all about that composure and just like these. I take these chances, 3 meals a day, like, you know what I mean.
If you watched where he was positioned for, because I think we got it from a corner that 4th goal. He was on the edge of on the halfway line, just waiting to go. You know what I mean? You could see him ready to go, and then it broke. Sheeran passed to Nuttall. Nuttall played him through. You could see that was a definite counter-attacking training tactic that they've come up with, because it was so well worked. It couldn't have worked any better. It wasn't like a dodgy pass. It was out to Sheeran, straight to Nuttall. Nuttall played him through, and it was bang, goal. So you can see that they've been working really hard on that sort of counter-attack display.
He's not the quickest, but once he gets in front of the defender, it's like
strength.
He's straight. Just exactly. You're just going to hold him off. And defenders are going to bring him down as well, aren't they? Because they're just going to get tangle with him and stuff like that. So, and Nuttall yesterday was the same. That kind of physical presence. That first goal, Dave, like when he did sort of, was it a shoulder barge or was it a push? It was
right. Aldershot weren't happy with that.
No. If I was a referee in that game, it wouldn't have stood. He pushed him right in the back, but so you've got to get a bit of luck. It was a definite push, and they were quite rightly good.
But that physicality, Dave, up front of Norwood and Nuttall. Now, I mean, we've seen in the National League. I mean, it was obvious that some of the most obvious examples of teams like Boreham Wood, where you've got these giants at the back, and we've now got centre forwards that can compete. Two lads up there who are really going to mix it. But not only that, given a chance, we're going to put the ball in the net. And I mean, we've been calling out for a right back for a long time. We've had to break the bank for Norwood, and presumably you have to cut your cloth then accordingly when you're recruiting for the rest of your squad, because the money is not infinite. Like, I mean, this lad's on a short-term deal. Freeman, hopefully that'll get extended if he does well. I think that's probably more to do with is it to do with the fact that he's been out injured and things like that, probably just testing the water a little bit with him.
I think he lives in Nottingham, and I think he's travelling from Nottingham every day, and that was the issue why he was at Portsmouth, because he sort of lost his motivation from travelling.
Yeah.
And he's travelling there and back every day, so I don't know if he doesn't want to move from Nottingham. He might have a young family. But this guy's played nearly 100 over 100 games at the top level, at Championship level for Sheffield United. He looked really, really good, and I think he only came off so we could save him for Halifax. He was really organised in the defence, and he was him, Horgan, Raglan, and Kitchen looked quite solid, I'd say.
Shall we have a listen to the manager?
Why not?
Interviewed by the Boundary Park Alert System's very own Mr. Sexy Dave Bradley.
David, Boundary Park Alert System. Kieran Freeman came into the team quite well, didn't he? What did you think of his performance?
Yeah, he played his way in. Experienced performance, I felt. He will certainly get better and fitter as the time goes on. Steadied us down. He's a lovely footballer. Great experience, and I felt like we needed that. I felt all week that we needed to be active and bring somebody into that position. And it's we wanted to do that, and we've got somebody in. And I think what he brings to us is he's steady, he's experienced, he's calm under pressure, and he's played in the top flight. So if we can get the best out of him and sort of push every bit of energy out of him for a period of time, he'll do a great job for us.
A 4-0 deficit this week, but 4 goals in the plus this week. So what was the change in the mentality in the camp?
Well, I can't talk about last week. I wasn't there, and I wasn't in the week before that, leading up to it. So I don't know what the camp was like, because I was too busy trying to turn over in bed and get better. But since I've come in on Tuesday, the lads have been magnificent in training. They've been vocal. They've been on the front foot. And sometimes when first game of the season, going from my own experience, you can get freak results. You can get a man sent off away from home, and let's get it right. Southend are a good team. They're probably the best team I felt who played here last season, and we beat them 2-0. Obviously, I wasn't at the club when we played them down there, but we got beat again. So they're a good team. So I don't think you got to be respectful of the opposition. Okay, we had a man sent off, and that doesn't help. But up until what I saw, until we got a man sent off, we had 6 great opportunities, and they had 3, and they were 1-0 up at the time. So it's one of those games, but that was more like us today.
When we conceded the goal, did you feel a little bit of nervousness creep in?
No, I didn't, and we've got to stop that, right? And the fans have got to stop that and thinking that, and you've got to stop asking me that.
Sorry.
because that's last year and the year before that and the year before that. And I want to get away from that shit, right? I want to get away from that crap of thinking the worst all the time.
Yeah.
Let's go and score 4, let's go and score 5, and that's the mentality I want. And I want to get away from all that. And, great credit to the lads that they didn't panic, and they went on and scored 2 more goals. And that's the reaction I'm looking for.
Nathan Sheeran and Mark Shelton did really well today. I thought they covered every blade of grass. Do you not agree?
Yeah, I do. I thought they were immense. What they do is unnoticed. Like you said, they were everywhere. And, top central midfield performance by the both of them.
And the link-up play between Dickinson and Kitchen, that really looked really
well. That looks a bit sexy down that left-hand side. It looks a bit exciting. I like what I'm seeing. I've only seen it for a week or so, but I'm liking it. I'm liking the pair of them, and let's hopefully see more performances like that, because for me it's all about partnerships. When you're trying to build a team that's we all know what we want, and I'm not going to say it at all, but we all know what we want to achieve. You've got to have partnerships, and the team of the 90s had great partnerships, didn't it, in central midfield and at centre back and down the left hand side, so that to me looked like a proper partnership today.
Yeah, and another good partnership was Joe Nuttall and James Noel, with 3 assists from Joe. He really put the effort in. You might be sulking a bit for not getting any goals, but as I say...
Well, I've just gone to reassure him that his manager thinks he had a top performance, and 3 assists for me are as good as goals, so that doesn't matter.
Thanks very much, David.
Brilliant, thank you. All right, thanks everybody. Thanks a lot.
That was good, wasn't it?
Yeah. He was at the end of that, before you stopped it. It was saying that he went to reassure Joe Nuttall, although you didn't get goals, assists are more important sometimes than goals. So yeah, it's.
Yeah, we heard that, didn't we? Did we hear that, Joe?
Yeah. I think he said that at the end. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, he seemed quite passionate about it in that interview, didn't he? Sort of,
it's not often you hear managers swear in interviews, but we decided we kept it in because I think it's important that look, we've spoke to him a number of times, Dave, and he's a very nice guy, and you've seen the passion sort of underneath it and bubbling away. I think today he let that go a bit, didn't he? And I think that's a message that fans can connect to. I think that is, that is the past. I mentioned it before about feeling that thing when the goal went in. You mentioned it. It is ingrained in us as Latics fans, but David wasn't here then, and it doesn't matter to him. And he wants to change that mentality. He wants his players to go on and do exactly what they did. I think it was great. I think it was a great interview. I think fans will respond well to it because I think they want to hear him being himself. And he is a passionate guy, and he said to us a number of times, he said that when he did the interview, that he's really, really fallen for being at the club. He really likes it here. He wants to take the club to the next level and beyond. And we've got to get behind him to do that. And I think performances and results like that, Joe, yesterday are certainly going to help, aren't they?
Well, yeah. I mean, yesterday, as I say, it seems to be a one-off sort of so far under him, but he's got to follow it up on Tuesday and on Saturday. For me, I think the next two games, I think if we lose either of them, then I think it's sort of, two defeats in the first four all of a sudden, in spite of yesterday, isn't looking like, a great start. You expect we should beat Halifax. And then if we get a draw at Chesterfield, that would be a really, really good result because, they're the ones that supposedly are the ones that we're matching. They're going to be up there, according to the bookies, etc., up there with us, challenging for the title. I think we need to get something at Chesterfield for, these next. Say we win today, won yesterday, and we win on Tuesday. I think then we need to go to Chesterfield and get something as well.
Oh yeah,
perhaps to make it, to make up for the Southend result. We yesterday balanced it out a little bit, so we're sort of on ground zero, if you like. But I think these next two games are really, really important that we get something from both.
If we play like that against any team like we did yesterday, I don't think we've got anything to worry about. But again, it's that consistency, isn't it? As in football. Even if we played like that against Chesterfield and didn't get what we wanted or maybe got beat, I'd walk away. I'd be relatively happy because we're going for it. We're pushing forward. We're trying to get creativity up front. We've got some good players. Everyone wants to win every game of football, but it's not the end of the world if we get beat by Chesterfield. Tuesday's got to be the one that we've really got to aim for, just to get some more points on the board.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think. Looking at a result as the end of the world, or looking at one performance or one, you have to take these things. People are always saying things like, "Oh, I'll give him 10 games," but in reality, as soon as you have one bad game, it's a full on attack. It's like, well, what happened to the 10 games? You know what I mean?
It's kind of it's the bigger picture though, isn't it? It's everything. It's kind of last season as well. So when people say, after losing to Southend, we should get rid of him and all that sort of stuff. It's not just that one game. It's sort of what's gone on before it as well.
That really, really strong end to the season where we were third in the form table from Christmas?
Well,
because that's just a fact, isn't it?
You can't argue with the results, fair enough. But,
Well, people are arguing with the results, aren't they? Because people say it all the time.
Did we ever look like a promotion-winning team during that?
We weren't a promotion team last season, were we? And that wasn't the objective last season, was it? With the squad that we started off last season with was absolutely diabolical. And we had to keep recruiting the whole season to get better players to keep us in the division. And we did that. And then we started to build results towards the mentality of the team changed. We started getting better results. Now, the performances weren't brilliant. The football wasn't brilliant, but the mentality started to shift. And I think that everybody was then expecting to see that progress in the Southend game, and that progress didn't come in the Southend game. So then everybody lost their shit, thinking that we'd like reverted back to the sort of team that were playing football before Christmas, when in reality it was just a bad day at the office for whatever reason. This week we've seen that there is actually genuine progress. I don't understand how people can forget how bad the situation was last season, how poor the squad was at the beginning of the season, and how much he actually, in reality, turned it around. Even though the football wasn't great to watch, the football yesterday was great to watch.
Though, so
yeah, of course he has, but you don't go from being like one of the, a completely unstable club with an absolutely diabolical infrastructure, a piss poor squad, to then, I mean, if we get promoted this season and if we say we win the league or we finish second and win the playoffs, that will be an absolutely phenomenal achievement by everybody at the club. Phenomenal achievement by everybody at the club, considering where we've come from to get to that point. If we don't go up this season, but we finish in the playoffs, for example, that will still be a really, really good achievement. People say, well, he's been really heavily backed. It's extremely difficult to win a league or get promoted. It's not an easy thing to do, especially when you're coming from the point of having next to nothing in terms of resources, staff, scouting, all these things that needed fixing and have been are being slowly fixed. I just, football fans have got no patience and they want everything now. And that, to me, I find it frustrating because you just don't go from being the club we were, which was basically like Scunthorpe are now, to being Wrexham or Notts County overnight. And if we do, because we have the potential now within the squad and within the club to get promoted this season. If we do that, it'll be an amazing achievement. And we'll have to, there'll be a lot of people eating humble pie at the end of it. However, we've not got to that point yet. We've lost one comprehensively and we've won one comprehensively. And chances are over the season, it'll probably middle out somewhere in between, right? It's not going to be one or the other all season. So go on then, Joe. You give me the counter argument to what my mini rant there.
Well, I mean, you've talked about sort of culture and stuff in the past. I mean, what's left of the previous culture?
What about within? Sorry to interrupt you straight away, by the way. But I think that what's been alluded to there in the interview and what Dave was saying about in the culture of the fans mentality of, oh shit, we've conceded a goal, it's 3-1 now, let's all get nervous. And because the players feel it, the management feel it, the crowd feel it. That is a cultural thing that has got absolutely nothing to do with the board, nothing to do with the way that they're setting things up behind the scenes, nothing to do with the manager, nothing to do with the players. That's on us. And that's what I'm seeing with the Unsworth thing, with people expecting him to fail because they're used to it. There's a culture of failure within the fan base that is affecting things. And this is what we've been talking about this since day one on the podcast. And that is the most important thing. And that's on us to change. That's not on that's when I keep saying it's a collective responsibility. That's what's on us to change.
But once it's sort of, there's a few games that aren't like Altrincham where we're 2-0 up against 10 men and then conceding twice late on, then that starts to relax. But, the fans will start to relax. But I don't think they're just going to do it on the back of, no evidence. They need to see some progress. And, as I keep saying, I'm not being negative at all. Yesterday was brilliant. It was absolutely fantastic. But, you can understand why the fans get nervous because they've seen it before and they haven't seen much to sort of counteract it.
Totally, I'm one of them. I get it, and it's on me as well. I'm not ruling myself out of any responsibility. I'm just saying that that's something as a collective that we need to try and get out of our game. Go on, Dave.
We've lost 2 in 12, so I don't. In terms of form, I don't know what the guy can do. All right, we had a poor display. I think it was Wrexham and Southend. Right, okay, it's last season. Wrexham, we got tated 5-1. That was a really bad game. Southend, again, freak result, bad day at the office. And it's still inexcusable when you look at it and say, look, first game of the season, we should be winning that against the Southend depleted side. But
What we should have just done, no one suggested that we should have won the game, but we should have performed a lot better. It was the performance that annoyed everyone. He said in that interview with you, Dave, about the amount of chances we had. We did have some good chances last week. A few, they weren't great chances, but we had some chances last week against Southend. And on a different day, one of them goes in, and it's different, isn't it? But the performance is what disappointed us all on the last week.
But isn't that sort of so? We are expected to do well this season. We are, we have spent well in the transfer market. Southend, as we say, have had a horrible sort of close season. So with that in mind and the pre-season we've had and all that sort of stuff, you can understand why people are...
Southend were pushing for the playoffs last season. We were nowhere near.
Yeah, but
I know they've had a few players leave, but for the last 2 seasons, they've been pushing for the playoffs. I think the season before, they just, again, missed out on the playoffs. They've still got a collective team, and they've had a coach who's been there for nearly 2.5 years in Kevin Mayer. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so if our form from January last season was so good, why do we need to sign anybody else? If we can just
that's a stupid argument, that, Joe.
It's not a stupid argument.
Of course it is, because the players that we signed,
didn't need to sign anybody.
But they had a better team than us, first of all, and secondly, they can't sign anybody, so that's on them. So they've got to make do with what they've got. We did if we needed to sign players because our squad from last season wasn't good enough to challenge for promotion. They were
third in the form table.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, absolutely. But
January.
Right. So he got. So what that suggests is he got a lot out of what he had. He did well with what he had. But we know that
so he improved it.
So he improved it. But obviously,
he should have matched a team who have signed nobody and had a really turbulent summer.
Yeah, well, we know that. We know that it was a poor performance. Yeah, everybody's acknowledging that.
We're not disagreeing with you.
What we're saying is that is not a basis to say that everything is wrong at the club and that he's not the right man for the job, is it? That one performance. On the flip side, that one performance yesterday against Aldershot doesn't mean that everything is rosy in the garden and that we're going to go on and win the league at a canter. But I just don't get why there is just this complete lack of patience. What is most important at Latics is that it's more important that Unsworth does well than him not doing well. We need a manager to stay in situ for a long time. We need to build a management and coaching infrastructure off the back of a stable management team, because we've not had that for such a long time. We don't want to have to pay off contracts like Unsworth contracts, Ebril's contracts, all these other people paying them off. Bring a load of new people in. That is far more disruptive to the football club than keeping the manager, giving him time, being patient and seeing through his contracts and building that infrastructure in the background. Because all you're doing, if we'd have listened to all these numpties last season saying, sack him, we'd have had our third manager by the end of the season. We'd have had no infrastructure, no stability. We would have been having to waste money on contracts and paying up contracts and this, that, and the other. Then we have to bring another manager in who, at the end of the day, is no more guaranteed success than the previous manager. And we begin the merry-go-round once again and again and again, which is why we've been calling for some patience. It's the board that are putting the money. It's the Rothwells that are putting the money in. Their money. They're making the commitments and saying, right, okay, we're putting this much in. We're working out our business plan. We're doing this, that, and the other. It's on them. It's up to them to decide at what point they think that their investment is going bad and they need to make the changes. Our job is to try and be as supportive as we can, bearing in mind everything that they've done for us in terms of coming in and spending their money. And if they're backing the manager, then we should back the manager. And if they're giving him time, then we should give him time. And that has been my position from the off. That doesn't excuse performances last week. Last week was terrible, but it was one game. And it's up to the players as much as it's like, it's up to the players to back the manager as well. It's up to the players to show us what they're capable of. And they did that yesterday. And that I don't understand. It's like this kind of, people are so ready to write him off and to write it all off just off the, people just want to be proved right. They made the decision early, they nailed their colours to the mast early on, and then they just want to be proven right. And I'm convinced of that, because if they were really thinking about what was best for the football club, they'd want Unsworth to succeed and they'd get behind him.
But why do you think, like, I don't think it is just sort of being impatient that they haven't really taken to him. I think there's a bit, I think there's a bit more to it.
Well, what is it? Well, go on then, tell us what is it?
I mean, it's the style the style of football that he's played. I think the sort of, the results, as I say, you can't argue with, but it has been pretty bad to watch. A lot of these, we know what a good team looks like. So we've seen, going back Royal sort of, but since then sort of Dowie, Sheridan, Lee Johnson, even Wellens kind of thing. That is what a sort of good team looks like. And before yesterday, I don't think we've really seen that much.
Well, before yesterday and before this season, last season, let's remember what division we're in, right? We're in League 5, okay? So the quality of players we've got, 5th division, right? Sometimes we get lucky with players that are better than that, such as Norwood and, potentially some of the other players in the squad. But they're not necessarily proven at that. So we're in the 5th division. So we're not going to see the types of footballers and the types of football that we see or that we saw in the 90s or when we were at the top end of League 1, right? So that's all about managing your expectations. Don't be thinking, well, this is Latics. Yeah, but this is 5th division Latics. This is 5th division Latics that have just come off the back of 21 years in League 1 and 30 years of mismanagement, of decline. Off the back of the worst owners and the worst management team, senior management team, directors and all that we've ever seen. So, last season's football wasn't great. Well, what do you expect? It was always going to be shite, considering where we've come from. And now the club is in the best health it's been in a long, long time. Boundary Park looked magnificent yesterday with £1 million pitch, with Premier League dugouts, everything with a manager that's on the sideline that's kicking every ball, with 7,500 fans in League 5, the highest attendance in the whole division. There is so much to be grateful and happy about, and yet people still micro focus on, well, last season David Unsworth's football was shit.
Yeah, but it's kind of, no one's moaning about the pitch or the dugouts or any of that. Everyone thinks that's brilliant, and everyone thinks. I haven't met a single person who said,
I know that. Well,
the owners or any of that sort of stuff.
I know,
That's
so what they're doing.
One little element.
But they still want to focus. They still want to find something negative to focus on, and then focus on it and make it the absolute, the one thing that they're all over social media about. There's one thing I'm going to talk about, and it's this, rather than taking a step back and saying, you know what, I don't actually have to moan about anything here. There's actually nothing to moan about.
Maybe they see that as a really important part of it.
It is. But yesterday we won 5-1, didn't we? Yesterday we won 5-1 after signing a former Premier League player, James Norwood, in the last week. What?
I just think for balance, guys, you both got your opinions. Yeah, your off-field infrastructure, fantastic, but it does come down to the football as well, as Joe says. But I think we've said it before, and we'll say it again at the start of the season. Let's just take it on a game-by-game basis. Not let's put a manager under pressure and give him 10 games. I'm sure the board will have a target in mind, and David Unsworth will have a target in mind of where he wants to be after 10 games. It might be 15 games, it might be 20 games, it might not be anything, and they might say we're going to let him see out his contract. But we as fans have just got to back the team and respect the board to manage the club properly.
Exactly. Well, that's all I've ever been saying, Dave. Yeah,
I know. But then the fans, if the performances aren't as well as they should be, have the right as paying fans to make the feelings known in a constructive way, rather than calling for managers' heads. Because we bemoaned Abdallah sacking a manager every 5 minutes. We bemoaned transfers coming in every 5 minutes and paying up contracts and paying stupid wages for Quincy Manning. It's not sustainable. The only teams that have done it really well, I say is Salford, but the 54 grand in debt every week. You know what I mean? It's not. I don't want to be in that position. I'm sure you don't, John. I'm sure you don't, Matt. You know what I mean? We want to see a club shop having queues outside, a club shop that's selling shirts and fans wanting to spend the money in the club. You know what I mean? We could, years ago we had crappy Sondico kits with badges that fell off after 2 washes. We're doing things properly, and it's going to take time. And
I mean, no one's, as I say, no one's sort of arguing against any of that sort of stuff. But with everything that's in place, there's a great opportunity here, and kind of, if there is one little thing which may or may not be the manager, then you can understand that people don't want to miss this opportunity with everything.
It's not a little thing,
so
though.
well.
It's not a little thing, though, is it? And replacing a manager who's on a 3.5-year contract, who as a board you believe in, you have a great working relationship. It's no little thing to just sack him and bring somebody else in. It's people forget that these should be and are and should be very, very considered decisions that take time, and people need to be given time. People now, it's just this, we talk about culture. The culture in the game has gone from this like, oh yeah, well, you lose a few games, or like Abdallah famously said against when Frankie Bunn lost 6-0 at Carlisle. Oh, he lost 6-0, so you got to sack him. Like that. The culture in the game has gone from, management and coaches and things need time to sack him, and just have this turnover. And it doesn't. You look at the majority of clubs, it doesn't work. The best, look at the clubs that where managers stay there, start to build something and succeed and do really well, and then that manager leaves or goes and gets another job. It very rarely continues. That having a stable manager, a management team, is really, really important. The only way to do that is to give them time. And not just say, well, we don't like the way you're playing football with this really average squad that we've got assembled, because it was an average squad. Even by the end of last season, it was an average squad. And like I just said, you could argue that you got the best out of an average squad. Well, like, give him the chance this season with a good squad. And it doesn't matter where we are after 10 games. It doesn't matter. It matters where we are after 46. Go on, Dave.
I think, look at Wrexham when they got beaten in the playoffs by Grimsby. They didn't sack Phil Parkinson. They backed him again for the next season. And look what happened to them. I know it's a different structure and a different spending structure and a different, ownership model that they do, because they have the American investment. But they could have just got rid of Phil Parkinson and brought someone else in.
He's a proven manager.
Right. Well, how does Unsworth become a proven manager?
How do you become a proven manager?
He can't become a proven manager. He gets sacked after losing one game at Southend, can he?
Well, he does have to win something, doesn't he? So,
it takes time, doesn't it? It takes time. He's not even had a full season at the club. So, how does anyone become a proven manager? Did they start off brilliant? Did Alex Ferguson start off brilliant? I mean, he started brilliant at Aberdeen, fair enough, right? Yeah. But he went into the first division of Premier League at United. It took time, didn't it? He's always the one. Joe Royle didn't. It took Joe Royle time to assemble a squad and a team that went on and did what it did. You don't just become an established, proven manager. It takes time, and that time requires somebody to have faith in you. And I would rather have a board that are prepared to back their man and give him time and have some faith in him than fire him off because certain sections of the fan base are disgruntled.
I think sort of like, you talk about patience, and kind of people would have patience with him if he kind of, he did show the results at the end of last season. Okay, fair enough, but people still won't have. If he carries, so games like yesterday, if he has another 10 games like that, he'll get more patience when the chips are down, I think. And, he will have proved himself to a small extent, and then people will have, be willing to give him a bit more time because we know he can do it.
Right. So this is like any kind of relationship. It's like, well, I'll be, if he's, if you're in a relationship with someone, you sometimes you have to be patient when things are going badly, as opposed to when things are going well. That's what it's all about. It's that give and take. Dave, you got your hand up, mate.
Do you know Phil Parkinson, just to go back to your point, saying he won things? Do you know how many games he had before he won anything, Joe?
Go on then.
347. And that was the League Two playoffs with Bradford. Now, I'm not saying we should give David Unsworth 347 games, but over a season, what do you play? 40 games a season? That was 8.6 years as a manager before he won anything. And then the next thing he won, and what he won was the Bradford playoffs in 2012-13. And after that, the next thing he won was the National League, which is another 200 games. So, it's a long time.
Did he come close in those 346 games to win anything?
Well, that doesn't matter, does it? Yeah, it doesn't matter. You just said that doesn't
winning.
matter, Joe. What you just said, what matters? It's like you came close to winning Latics mine last year, mate. But you know what I mean? You finished second, game over. Yeah, it doesn't matter, does it? It's a result. There's contradictory messages here. You get the thing from it's results business. So you get the results at the end of last season, finished, the third in the form table, but that's not good enough because the results aren't the only thing that people are happy about. It's actually you've got to get the results, but you've also got to have the performances as well. So it's like, hang on a minute, is it one or the other? So at the end of the day, it's like, would you rather play well and lose, or would you rather play in your eyes poorly and win? Well, you'd rather win most often than not. This season, we've got a fan base, I think, that accepted mediocrity and accepted us being so bad for so long, and then now on the flip side, they see the hope, they see the potential all of a sudden at the club, and they want that potential to be lived straight away. And it's like, it's got to be now. It's got to be this season. And if it's not this season, it's only one person to blame, and that person is David Unsworth. And I don't think that that's fair at all. And I think we've got to give him our support. We've got to give the players our support, like we do on match day, every week. But let's not panic if we go a goal behind. Let's not, if we start a game poorly, let's not get on everybody's back saying, "Oh, here we go back to," you know what I mean? Like, because that doesn't help. So I know it's hard, and I get what you say. It is, the manager does have to prove himself, and the team have to prove themselves, but they can only do that over time. And I think we've just got to back off and give everybody that time and that space because it's, yourself, like when you're trying to perform, when you're playing pool or something, you've had a few pints, you've had 3 pints, you've hit the sweet spot, you're relaxed, you start knocking everything in, don't you? When you start, you're thinking up, you're missing things, aren't you? Peak performance is about putting the right space mentally and physically. You've got to be, what it is like, Dave. You have a few pints, you're playing darts, all of a sudden you're hitting. Well, I'm hitting the board as opposed to a specific. You've got to be in that right space, and in a football stadium which is full of thousands of people, there is positive energy and there's negative energy, and positive energy makes everybody feel better, and negative energy makes everybody tense and seize up. And I just like that positive energy to stay in the stadium longer when things are going a little bit wrong, like we go a goal behind or whatever it is, or we're not playing particularly well, because this will happen over the season. We won't brush everybody aside 5-1. We won't play brilliant football every single game, 90 minutes for every single game. Some games will be a struggle. Some games will be, we'll scrape a win against a team that we feel we should be beating comfortably. But the main thing is that over this season, we make great strides towards being back in the Football League. And it's not the end of the world if we don't get promoted this season. It will be disappointing, but it's not the end of the world, because we're looking now into the future, and we actually have a future, and that is more important. And so I get the frustration, Joe. I get where you're coming from, but I'm just urging a bit of patience and a bit of calm, because I think overall that is more important. Yeah,
I mean, sort of like after yesterday, I don't want to come across negative after yesterday at all, because that was brilliant. Sort of carry on like that, and Unsworth will shut people like me up, won't he?
It kind of, it sort of like comes with a caveat, doesn't it? It's kind of like, look, we'll back you, we'll be patient, providing it carries on like that.
Yeah. Yes.
So I mean, on Tuesday, we might get a draw at home against Halifax, not play particularly well. That, again, doesn't mean our season's over. It doesn't mean there's not a lot more performances like yesterday in us. That's how it just happens in football, especially when you're in the 5th division. It's very unusual that you get teams like Wrexham and Notts County who are so consistently good over a season. Very, very rare that you get teams that play and lose 4 games in a season. So,
so Wrexham are different levels, sort of spending.
Exactly, but they've set an expectation. They've set a sort of a precedent, I think, that clubs like, but people are looking at Oldham and saying, right, we've got this investment and we're a big club in this division. That's kind of like what they're hoping we will emulate. And God, we totally hope they do. I hope they do. Don't get me wrong. I'd love it. I just don't think that is a realistic expectation for any club in this division.
I don't know if anyone thinks that. I don't know if anyone thinks we're going to be Wrexham and get 100 odd points, but I think they expect us to be matching Chesterfield, for example, as did the bookies.
Yeah, but Chesterfield have got a lot of. They're ahead of us in a lot of ways, aren't they? In terms of they've been in the division a while. They've had a little bit more consistency, and they've been, they've not fallen like we've fallen. Well, they have, but not like last season was our first season in this division. So I think, like I said, what I said earlier on, I'm stand by. If we get out of this division this season, it will be a fantastic achievement by everybody involved. Absolutely fantastic achievement, and we all hope that that's the case. And the best way of us all doing our part, in my opinion, is getting behind the manager, getting behind the team, getting behind the board, and on Tuesday night,
having 3 pints before we go in.
Having 3 pints before the game. Is that what we're all going to say is our minimum sort of like agreement? Anyone who's over 18, I'm not going to encourage everyone to drink, but that's your advice, Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, breathalyzer test as you go in. If you pass, you can't come in.
Right. Well, we've got 7 minutes left before we hit the hour. It's been good to have that debate with you, Joe. I'm
good
sure
debate. Really
it was
good.
a good debate. Yeah, and obviously, if anybody else wants to have that similar debate, they can call the phone in on. The phone in, Dave. I just got a flashback. I've just had PTSD after the Ben Bittner.
Oh, I've got to give a shout out to the Latics Twitter account. I thought that their content are doing a bit of a video of that. That was good, really good. They are class. Whoever runs that, they are good guys.
So, speaking of losers, as we were, Joe, you now have your chance to do the impossible. Really, I mean, as much as the plaudits will be out for the club if they get promoted. If you beat Paul's score today, you will be forever. I will be. You will have my respect and admiration forever because he's set a very high bar. But you never know. I wish you the best of luck. Dave, are you ready with the questions, mate?
I am. Can you mark?
Can I mark? Yeah, I can, yeah. Sorry, I couldn't find the intro music, but I've got it now. Joe, best of luck, mate.
Thank you.
Who was Latics' last home win in the Football League against?
Bournemouth.
No, it was Leyton Orient. Latics had not lost to a non-league club in the FA Cup since the 1970s. Which non-league club knocked Oldham out of the FA Cup in 2016-17?
Lincoln.
Correct. Which former Norwich City and Derby winger had 3 spells at Latics between 2004 and 2016?
Matty Rush, don't know.
Lee Croft. What colour was Latics away kit in 2011-12?
White.
Incorrect, it was black. Who was top scorer in the 13-14 season?
Jimmy Frizzle.
Danny Philliskirk. Who was the Latics' last League One win against?
Chesterfield.
Incorrect. Blackpool. Who scored on his debut at Macclesfield in January 2020?
Covera.
The legend. Who was the Latics front shirt sponsor in 2013-14?
Was it Blacks?
Yeah, great brand as well. Latics signed 3 players from Leeds in the calendar year of 1986. Dennis Irwin and Tommy Wright were 2. Who was the other one earlier that year?
Was it Andy Ritchie?
No, very close, but it was Andy Linnigan. Who did Latics score their first win against in 21-22?
Son.
Correct. Which Latics striker retired from the game in 2007 and was later known as called Melodic?
Retired from the game. Charlie McDonald.
No, it was Chris Hall. Who scored a hat-trick on the final day of the 19th?
Thing's gone already. I'm gonna have to referee there, Dave. The beep's gone already.
I didn't hear it.
Well, it's
yeah,
gone.
it went during the last question.
You were just too focused, Dave.
I didn't hear it, honestly. I didn't hear it.
But I believe you. No, I believe you. You didn't hear it. Yeah, but it did. It did go. So I can tell you now that you got 4, Joe. What did you get last time? 8,
I think 7 or 8.
Yeah, I mean, you answered. You got 7 wrong, and you got 4. So you got 11 questions. You got through. So 7 wrong, 4 right. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's not bad. You know, it's decent. It's respectable. And obviously, you've got the credence of last year as well. So you know, I think probably you just thought it's just you just let somebody else have a crack, didn't you? Yeah, I don't think you thought that Jimmy Frizzle was the right answer, did you?
I definitely didn't know.
You weren't racking your brains too hard, were you?
No, close enough.
Absolutely, great stuff. Right, it was good that. I mean, I think the thing is that the takeaway from today, Dave, is that we all see things differently. We all have a different perspective on things, and no one's right, no one's wrong. We just need to be able to have a discussion about it and try and see it from each other's point of view, because it's really important that we all work together at this club. Now we've got like you said yourself, Joe, we've got a fantastic opportunity. It's like the club has never been so well positioned. I don't think possibly. I don't even think ever. Possibly, if you think, I mean, not as far back as I can remember. If you go back to even when we got promoted, and we I don't think necessarily we were as well prepared, and I don't think that the club and the board and the chairman and everyone were really kind of like keeping up with Joe Royal's success, as opposed to the board and the club setting the standard, if you know what I mean. And I think that now we've got a very different. I think we've got a top-down level of quality now that we've never had before, and I think that they will push the success of the club forward. And I think we are very lucky. And let's just hope that on Tuesday night against Halifax that the lads can back it up again. Hat-trick from Norwood. Since we were doing this ahead of that game, let's have some predictions. Joe, are you confident that Mr. Unsworth will set the team up in the same vein and that they will go out and play more fast, dynamic football and secure a home win?
I do. I think it'll be a close game, but I think we'll win 2-1.
Dave?
3-1.
3-1. No clean sheets. I went for 2-0 yesterday just before the game, so I was happy with 5-1. Yeah, I think we'll win. I'm going to go for a comfortable 3-0 win for Latics. Let's talk about it on the phone in when we're all wrong. Best of luck to Latics on Tuesday. Thanks for listening. Thanks for participating, Joe.
No problems. Thanks for having me on.
It's been a pleasure, my friend. And thanks to you, Dave Bradley, for being you, really.
No problem, my friend.
All right. That'll do. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Boundary Park Alert System, a QPod production hosted and produced weekly by Matt Dean, Andy Halliwell and Dave Bradley. QPod is Oldham's only dedicated podcast production company, and if you'd like to learn more about how podcasting can help take your brand to the next level, visit kupod.co.uk. A huge thank you goes to all those people who subscribe to the podcast on Spotify. We really appreciate you all. Please visit oafcpodcast.co.uk and click Be a Supporter or find the link in the show notes if you'd like to help help us fund the show. It's only $2.99 per month to subscribe, but if you'd rather make a one-off donation, please visit buymeacoffee.com/OAFC podcast or click the link on our website. Don't miss the Latics football phone-in every Wednesday live from 8:30pm. Please visit youtube.com/@OAFC podcast and do hit subscribe while you are there. You can also follow and interact with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok @OAFC Podcast. Big thanks go to Eileen Finnegan for writing our excellent weekly blog, which we encourage you to read on our website every Saturday morning, and also to Paul Prendergast for providing us with all the Latics Mind questions. The title music for the show is by Manchester DJ and producer Starion, and for more information visit bandcamp.com/Red Laser Records. If you'd like to be a guest or contribute to the show, we would love to hear from you. Until then, see you next time.